My dear children, again I am here today to explain you the topic respiratory system. See, respiratory system means the system which is responsible for us to breathe, to help us take in oxygen and use it for our body to stay healthy. So this system has a many terms and explanations. Now let us see each in little detail. First, there comes a word respire. Respire means to breathe. So many of the scientific words are named from a different language, let it be Latin or Greek. So in Latin, respire means to breathe. From the word respire came the word respiration or respiratory system. Okay. Now, see, these are the two scientists whom we are interested under the topic respiratory system. Joseph Priestley and Lavoisier. Joseph Priestley is the scientist who discovered oxygen. Till then, we are breathing some air which is helping us to produce energy, but we don't know what is the air, what is that air. So this scientist, he recognized that air and discovered it as oxygen, named it as oxygen. Lavoisier, this is another scientist who experimented, who did a lot of experiments and proved that energy is released from respiration while we are taking in air and releasing out waste air, that is carbon dioxide. So through this process, what is happening inside our body? Lot of energy is released and we are using that energy for various activities, isn't it? So who proved that in the form of experiments? This scientist Lavoisier. So these are the basic things. Now let us see the general pathway. Now this is the life of air, that is oxygen. We breathe in through our nose. After nose, oxygen enters our lungs in our thoracic cavity, chest cavity. After lungs, in that lung it gets processed, that oxygen goes into our blood. Now the blood circulates everywhere in our body, right? It circulates everywhere in our body so that it carries the oxygen to each and every single cell. Our entire body is made up of small minute cells, isn't it? We know that already. So each cell is supplied with this oxygen so that inside the cell many life processes happen, and to perform those life processes, the cells need oxygen to produce energy. Energy, where is it produced? Inside our cell, right? To produce energy, this is a must. We require oxygen. Now, let us see each pathway in detail. Coming to nose. We all have one nose and two nostrils. Nostrils are the openings present inside our nose. So there are two nostrils. Now those nostrils open into nasal cavity. What is a cavity? It is a space, it is a something which can be occupied into, that is a cavity. So function of nasal cavity, it filters the air. See, inside our nose we will be having small minute hair like structures, hairs, right? Why hairs inside the nose? To trap all the dust particles. Generally in our environment or surroundings, air is filled with lot of pollution, lot of dust, right? So all that dust gets trapped, and when we are cleaning our face and nose, we can see those dark dirt like things coming out of our nose, right? In some cases, in some exceptional cases, they do not have hairs in their noses. So those people are subjected to many hypersensitive respiratory diseases like Easily, they easily catch cold, they easily sneeze for any pungent odor like that. But most of the population, they have hairs in their nasal cavity to trap dust. Another important thing is that all our nasal passages, all these things which I am going to tell you about, they are, the linings of those passages are very moist, they are not dry, they are very moist. Okay. So, now what happens in the nasal cavity? Once air enters the nasal cavity, air is conditioned. We know ACs, right? Air conditioning machines. So, what will that air conditioners do? They will take the outside air and they will condition it, means they will change that air. If outside weather is too hot, that AC will condition it so that the temperature gets reduced. So, we can feel cold air, and even the moisture content of the air also is changed by that air conditioner. Conditioning means nothing but changing the temperature of the air and also changing the moisture content of the air. What is moisture content? What is moisture? Moisture means the amount of water present in the air. Water is present in air, we all know that, right, in the form of water vapor. So, if the temperature and the moisture content of the air is changed accordingly, in this case according to our body, close to our body temperature, then it is called as air conditioning. See here, the air temperature, the temperature of the air we are breathing is brought close to our body's temperature. Our body's temperature is warm, right? Compared to our surroundings, our body's temperature is a little bit warm. So, accordingly it is changed, and also the air is made moist. Even if we breathe in dry air, when it passes into our nasal cavity, that air's moisture content is raised, air becomes moist. Why I am always stressing on the term moist? Because see here, it is very important for gaseous exchange. If there is moisture, then only the air get exchanged, the oxygen in the air, it enters into our blood. It does not happen if the surfaces or if the air is dry. That is why moisture is very important. Now, let us see what is pharynx. Pharynx is nothing but throat. If we go deep inside our mouth, this area, if we open our mouth, this area is our throat. It is called as, it is called as pharynx. Even in pharynx, the same thing happens. Air is conditioned according to our body temperature and air is made moist than the air present outside. The air which enters inside our body is more moist. Now, see, when we eat our food from the mouth, it should enter our throat. Then only it will go into our stomach through something called as food pipe. Now, that is a different story. Here, our topic is, even air we are breathing through our nose or our mouth also sometimes if our nose is blocked. So, that air also has to cross our throat. Now, air does not enter into food pipe. There is a separate passage for air, right? It is called as windpipe. See, if you place your fingers here on your neck, you can feel something like a stiff pipe like structure. That is nothing but our windpipe. So, its medical term for that is trachea. Trachea is a windpipe. So, when you feel on your neck, that whatever structure you are feeling is called our trachea, right? So, air enters only windpipe, but sometimes when we are eating food in a hurry and when we are swallowing our food while talking, okay, what happens? We will tend to choke ourselves sometime, right? Choking means we can't breathe. Why is that happening? The reason is that food had accidentally gone into our windpipe, into our trachea, not the food pipe. So, that is why our respiratory system, to protect us, to save us, it will immediately send out which reflex? Cough reflex. We will cough out, no? So, while coughing out, all that any food particle which has entered into our windpipe will be pushed forcefully outside. So, like that we can save ourselves. That is a protective mechanism made by our respiratory system that comes under innate immunity. I have told you know in our immunity classes about inborn immunity. So, this is what that is. So, that is the story. Now, here, so every time when we are taking our food carefully, we won't choke. Why? Because we have epiglottis. Epiglottis is nothing but a lid like structure. For anything, we will cover it with a lid, right? In the same way, it is like a lid. See, it is flap, valve, lid, anything, same terms, different words, same meaning. They convey the same meaning. So, it is muscular. Epiglottis is made up of muscle tissue only. It is muscular, means it is strong enough to stop the food from entering the windpipe. Now, see, so epiglottis controls movement of food and air. Food enters food pipe. Medical term for food pipe is esophagus. OESOPHAGUS. Then air enters windpipe. Windpipe means trachea. I have told you a while before. So, this is the function of epiglottis. So, we have to eat carefully. While eating, we should not talk or we shouldn't hurry. We shouldn't try to gulp faster. Slowly, steadily, we have to eat. Now, after crossing the throat, what is there? Larynx. Larynx is nothing but voice box, right? Larynx contains our vocal cords. I think you have seen many musical instruments. Those musical instruments are having cords, CHORDS, cords, right? Why? To produce different kinds of notes, different kinds of sounds. So, how are we able to produce sound while talking or while singing? How? Means we are having this voice box. Inside our voice box there are vocal cords. Now, see, when we are exhaling air means breathing out air. What do we breathe out? Carbon dioxide, right? When we are breathing out, when air comes out from our lungs, these vocal cords, they vibrate, okay? And so, I have talked about this point, right? Now, after crossing the larynx, so larynx is present in your neck area. So, after crossing the larynx, there is our trachea, that is the windpipe. It is a tube-like structure through which air passes. So, I have already told you that you can feel your trachea when you touch your neck. Now, after trachea, see all these things you can see here in this diagram. We have finished nasal cavity. This is our nose, nostrils, then there is a cavity, nasal cavity here. It conditions our air, then air enters our pharynx present in our throat. There also air gets conditioned. See, this is our mouth, right? Nose, nasal cavity, pharynx. These are our lips, mouth, again pharynx. Both nasal cavity and mouth are leading into throat, that is pharynx. Here there is epiglottis. See, I have mentioned the lid like structure, epiglottis, and here I have only drawn what is related to respiratory system. I did not draw the food pipe. Esophagus I did not draw. Generally esophagus is present behind our windpipe. This is windpipe, and behind windpipe there is food pipe. So, that is not our point of interest. So, now epiglottis. Now, this structure is larynx. See, this is the neck of the person. Here there is voice box, larynx. Inside the larynx there are vocal cords. Now again, after crossing the neck, what we see, this is called as trachea, that is the windpipe. Now this trachea, see, it got divided into two structures. What are they called? Bronchus is a singular, bronchi is a plural, same word, same meaning. If we call them together, we call them as two bronchi. If we are denoting one particular bronchus, one bronchus, we use the word bronchus, that is singular word. Now, so as the word tells you, bronchus is the lower end of windpipe. Windpipe is trachea, the lower end got divided, it branched, it got divided into two branches, that means two bronchi. And this bronchi enters lungs. This triangular shaped structures, two in number, these are lungs. Now the bronchus, the bronchi, they have entered inside the lungs, and after entering the lungs, again bronchus gets divided into many bronchioles. See, the branches of bronchi are called as bronchioles. Here you can see the bronchioles. The bronchus got divided into many bronchioles. This side also bronchus, again bronchioles. Now you can see these sac like structures. I have showed you with round shaped structures. Those are air sacs, means nothing but alveolus. Again, singular means bronchus. I have told you in the same way. Singular word of alveoli is alveolus, plural is alveoli. Now these alveoli are present at the ends of bronchioles. The bronchioles, they end with like grape bunch. How you see, you know, grapefruits, right? Fruits called grapes, they are seen as bunches. Just like that, our alveoli are present attached to those bronchioles. These bronchioles, nothing but they send the air we breathe enters the air sac through these tiny branches, right? Now, so alveoli are very small in size and they are numerous, many in number, millions, so many millions. Why so many in number? What is the reason? See, alveoli, they are very moist. The surface of the alveoli is very moist to facilitate the exchange of gases from air to blood. So more the surface area, more gases exchange. If you need, if we get more oxygen, we can produce, there will be more energy release, right? So to have more energy, we need more oxygen. For more oxygen to enter from air into our blood, the surface area of the alveoli, the moist surface area should be more, right? That is why the alveoli, they are very small tiny air sacs, but they are present many in number. So if all those surface areas are calculated, it is around some 160 square meters. That is the total surface area of the moist surfaces of the alveoli. Now again, I have, while explaining about COVID-19, I have clearly shown you what is an alveolus and how is the blood supply of that alveolus. So here what I mean is, each alveolus is supplied with a tiny blood vessel. Many tiny blood vessels are surrounding all the alveoli. Tiny, why did I use the word tiny? Because they are called as blood capillaries. They are not arteries, but the arteries or the veins, when they divide and become very tiny, very thin structures, like a very fine net kind of structures, then we call them as blood capillaries. See here, for example, this is a major artery or else a major vein. Now this divides into small arterioles. Again these divide into tiny blood capillaries, right? so that each and every cell gets blood supply. Now what happens finally in the alveoli, in the air sacs? Oxygen enters into alveolus from our nose, whereas carbon dioxide exits. See, the pathway is same. For oxygen to enter, it has to come from nose, then nasal cavity, then pharynx, like this. When carbon dioxide has to be released outside, then again from cells to blood to lungs to nose, reverse. The same pathway but reverse happens. Now see, from nose till alveolus, in the whole pathway air gets conditioned, means air gets warmer than the outside air and air gets moist, air gets more moist compared to outside air. Now, so ultimately where is the oxygen going into? We are breathing, finally it is going into our lungs. From there, where is it going? It is going into our blood. Why only blood? Because blood supplies everywhere, blood circulates everywhere in our body. Blood supply is there for lungs, blood supply is there for heart, it is there for every single cell. Okay, so only blood can take the oxygen to all our body parts. That is why the blood which supplies the alveoli will transfer the oxygen to that blood. From there, blood takes them to cells. And again the carbon dioxide, the inside our cells, this oxygen is used to produce energy. In that process, carbon dioxide is released. It is unwanted air which we send it out. So that released carbon dioxide again enters blood, then from blood it enters alveolus, and the same process repeats. In a reverse direction it happens. Oxygen means the arrow marks are downward pointing, from pharynx to larynx, larynx to trachea, trachea to bronchus, then bronchioles, alveolus, and finally after alveolus into blood. This is the route of oxygen, whereas carbon dioxide, it is the reverse, from blood to alveolus, from alveolus, I will show it with a different color, alveolus to bronchioles, bronchioles to bronchus, bronchus to trachea, trachea to larynx. Now again larynx to here pharynx, now pharynx to nasal cavity, nasal cavity to nose, nose from nostrils, CO2 comes out. So this is the basic pathway. Now, so I think I am clear till now. So I have explained you what are the different passages, what happens inside those passages, and about the importance of epiglottis. And inside the lung we have alveoli as our lung tissue. So these are the two scientists important for our respiratory system. So the continuation we will discuss in respiratory system part 2. Thank you for your cooperation.